So Nintendo just revealed a very exciting new promotion for Nintendo Switch Online, and this one you'll specifically want to pay attention to if you are not currently a subscriber to this service today, because yes, we'll come right out and say it, the free trial program is back, but this time for double the length that we typically see them run this promotion. And the big part is that we do indeed have them offering it for users even if you've redeemed it in the past. So to first get on the same page with the exact promotion details, and this will be a two-part video, first going over this exact trial promotion, and the second part we'll actually hop into one of the recommended games and discuss the current state of NSO. And maybe if you are somebody who's on the fence about potentially signing up, this video might help you make up your mind. But you can first see this post over on the news section from Nintendo.com, where it says Nintendo Switch Online 14-day free trial membership. Play together and have fun this Mario Day with a free trial of Nintendo Switch Online. Challenge your friends and family online, play classic games featuring Mario and more. And for a limited time, you can make the fun last even longer with a 14-day trial. That's twice as long as usual. Head over to My Nintendo to claim your offer now. Act fast as the offer ends on March 17th. So I will have the link in the description down below under the sources section, where you can go yourself to actually redeem this 14-day trial. Even if you're somebody who's partaken in trials in the past, you still qualify for this as part of Mario Day. And I do like to see the extended length of the 14-day time slot, because we've seen Nintendo do this plenty of times in the past, but it's typically 7 days at the most, and you have 2 full weeks to hop in and enjoy any new games that have been added to the base tier of the service. I should make that very clear. Obviously, there are 2 tiers of Nintendo Switch Online at this point: the expansion pack, which comes with N64, Genesis games, and Game Boy Advance, or the base tier, which has become more attractive since the addition of Game Boy family of systems, with Game Boy and Game Boy Color games now being lumped in as a new emulator that you have access to, in addition to, of course, your classic NES and SNES systems. So now that we have all the promotion details out of the way, we're quickly going to hop into some gameplay and reminisce of some fun NSO memories together and talk about the state of where it's at now. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And I want to first briefly highlight the list of Game Boy games, because in case you are somebody who's messed around with having a subscription in the past for NSO, but you haven't looked at what's available specifically with the Game Boy lineup since you've been away, well, this might be a good kind of overview of what's available in this newest console that has been added into the base tier service. I'm still hopeful we see Nintendo do more in the way of new consoles for the base tier besides just Game Boy, but I do think this is a pretty decent lineup. I mean, if you haven't played Zelda Oracle of Ages and Seasons and you're a Zelda fan, that is a ton of content that you can go through and thoroughly enjoy. Castlevania Legends, also a great recent addition. Link's Awakening, DX, of course, if you didn't buy the remake on the Switch, this is still a great way to play it in 2024. Metroid 2 Return of Samus, Super Mario Land, the 6 golden coins. Like, you do have a lot of good options here in terms of what you might want to play. And with that, after going through kind of the Game Boy games, we will next look at the SNES and a game that I want to boot up briefly together. Figured we might as well scroll through the updated list of SNES games as well, because for me personally, the base tier right now, I think the 2 big consoles that are the big selling point is Game Boy and Super NES. Now, if you have a ton of nostalgia for a lot of the old school NES games, and that's when you started gaming, and you might want to actually go through that library more than these 2. But for me personally, Game Boy and SNES is where it's at, with a ton of classics. We have all of the ones on screen that you can see. I mean, they do have a decent library. I just wish Nintendo would keep going with some of the more niche licensed games that they kind of have to probably pay fees for and things. But the game we're going to hop into briefly as we discuss the current state of NSO is none other than Super Mario World, because part of the reason that Nintendo is promoting this whole thing for the free 14-day trial is so players can enjoy a Mario Day promotion. And I believe it was until March 17th that you can redeem this, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video. What's cool about the 2 weeks is, to my understanding, let's see if we can get this guy, and we just barely missed him off screen. To my understanding, you could redeem this on the 17th and you still have your full 2 weeks of play available. So it really doesn't matter when you get it, as long as you do get it. And you gotta love when the enemies just barely go off screen. And of course, like back in the day on the SNES, it would just lose memory and you just be, the enemy would respawn in immediately. But anyway, you have this promotion running until that whole time. So even if you hop in towards the end of the promo, you are actually able to enjoy a full 2 weeks. So anytime between now and the 17th, if you're not an NSO member, set yourself a reminder so you can kind of see if this is the type of service that might be worth signing up for now. I would argue that if you are going to get into, and we barely missed our secret key there, That was one of the favorite things that I loved about this game, as well as all the secret exits and things. But nonetheless, we will just take the regular exit. And if you're somebody who, you know, if it's been a while since you've subscribed to NSO, this may indeed be worth it. I would argue that most people should go for something like the next tier up for the expansion pack, just for that simple enjoyment of N64 games and Genesis for not that much more money. Although, I mean, you do have to stop and think twice. Obviously, there's some family plan options. You can make it cheaper, but $50 a year as opposed to $20 a year for the expansion pack. But considering that now you get Game Boy Advance in addition to Genesis, in addition to N64, besides all these other classic systems, if you are a fan of retro games, it is hard to say that it is not worth it. Not to mention, the one other issue that I have with NSO currently, and I hope that they address this in the future, is a monthly tier option for the expansion pack. Because what does tend to happen with NSO, as we see Nintendo stick to this service for longer and longer, we can kind of start to slowly predict how they're going to update it. They seem to try to do a once a month update in terms of content. It's not normally both tiers of the service, it's one or the other. So you'll either get a base tier round of updates, or you will get a expansion pack tier of updates. And sometimes it's one, sometimes it's multiple. We've seen up to 3 N64 games drop in a single month. And then sometimes you have like the rare update that happened at the most recent Nintendo Direct in February. And just like that, we messed up. But something like that, it was 5 games all at once, but across both different tiers. So you have kind of a sporadic update schedule with Nintendo. But where I was going with that is, I would say if you haven't been subscribed in a while, you could subscribe, kind of play through all the games that you want, and then just ditch your subscription the next month or two if you don't want to stay subscribed. That's kind of the one trick of the expansion pack tier that makes you think twice, because the NSO membership by itself does of course have that one single month option. The expansion pack tier, on the other hand, you do indeed have to sign up for a full 12 months. And a constant gripe I've had with the service is that when Nintendo's asking for our money at a full 12 months at a time, I do believe they should commit to some kind of consistency around the updated roadmap of games. They are not doing that at this point in time, and knowing Nintendo, I don't think they will start to do it. So if you're, you know, a fan enough of the service, if it looks like there's enough fun games for you to check out, just hop in and enjoy it. And if not, well, at that point, you know, at least enjoy your 14-day free trial of the base tier games that you get access to. Of course, the one conversation we need to briefly have as well, if you're somebody who plays online games a lot with friends, obviously this is a service that the only way you can play your online games with anybody on connection over the internet, period, is by having this subscription service. So that is something to keep in mind as well. If you're somebody who plays with friends, you know, that are, you know, locally or far away or whatever the case, or I guess it wouldn't be locally, but online rather, far away, you'd want to have that. So just because every single provider now charges for online play, it's kind of, you know, outside of PC obviously, but those are the, you know, when it comes to console play now, that's pretty much par for the course as far as having a subscription service. So, hey, even if you don't want to play some of the retro games, but you want to check out NSO, 14 days free, you can play online with your friends, Smash Bros, Mario Kart, and things like that. So we'll briefly hop into the Boo level. We'll about wrap it up here. In terms of like my predictions around where we might see updates head for the service from here, I do think that Nintendo's going to continue to stick to that same loose 1 per month schedule in terms of like some kind of new content. That does mean that now that we are in the month of March and we haven't seen anything, that at any point in time we might get that shadow drop announcement or just some kind of trailer for an upcoming N64 game, or maybe an upcoming GBA game. Like, I do think it'll be one of those this month, since we did see a lot of the base tier content added in with the rare games at the partner direct. So we'll have to wait and see what happens for the future of the service. But I do want to hear from you guys in the comments down below before you leave the video. What's your overall thoughts and opinions on where we are at with NSO today? Are you currently a subscriber and you're happy with your subscription, or are you somebody who you would much rather have a different roundup of content than what we have right now, and maybe, you know, you're somebody who's still sitting on the sidelines choosing not to subscribe? Have you ever done the strategy where you subscribe for a while, get through kind of the content that you want to, and then choose to actually ditch the subscription and come back later on? So let me know all that and where you hope we see the service go from here in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.